The White Scars are a loyalist chapter of the Adeptus Astartes created during the first founding, where they held the honour of being the 5th Legion of the Legione Astartes. The chapter specialises in fast attack and mobile assault, making heavy use of bike squadrons, land speeders, and other similarly fast vehicles. The White Scars will use the sheer speed and maneuverability of these units to harass the enemy with a series of hit-and-run assaults, keeping their foe off balance before delivering a devastating surgical strike at their weakest point, often shattering the enemy's defences with a single blow. This preference for speed is even reflected in the chapter's fleet, where their ships have been heavily modified for rapid acceleration and mobility, although this comes at the cost of reduced armour, weaponry, and troop transporting capability. While outwardly seen as being little more than savage and barbaric, the White Scars are a highly cultured chapter that holds an appreciation for pastimes such as art and poetry. The structural organisation, titles, and battlefield tactics of the chapter is also reflective of the tribalistic culture and traditions found upon the chapter's homeworld of Chogoris. Chogoris, also known in imperial records as Mundus Planus, is a lush and verdant feral world, known for its nigh-endless fertile grasslands where the native tribes lead a nomadic existence, hunting the great herds that roam the steppes. The people of Chogoris are also consummate horsemen and archers, with their methods of waging war being reflected in the White Scars themselves. In addition to the endless grasslands, Chogoris is also known for its great mountain ranges. It is within the most inaccessible of these mountain ranges, the Kumkata Mountains, that the White Scars Fortress Monastery of Quanzu is located, erected where the palace of the legendary Jagatai Khan was originally located, before the Primarch's reunion with his father, the Emperor of Mankind. Quanzu, like many other fortress monasteries of the Adeptus Astartes, also features an impressive array of weaponry, which include not only Icarus pattern las cannons, but even a planetary defense laser, making Quanzu capable of annihilating entire cities with ease. During 890 M41, Chogoris would be subjected to a minor Necron incursion. A single Cairn-class tomb ship would appear within orbit of the world, before subjecting an unpopulated portion of the planet to a concentrated orbital bombardment. The White Scars battle barge, Jagatai's Pride, would engage the Necron vessel, succeeding in bringing down the tomb ship's void shields, allowing Quanzu's planetary defense laser to obliterate it with but a single shot. Why the Necrons chose to concentrate their fire upon this particular location, however, has never been explained. So what could be the reasoning behind the Necrons subjecting the surface of Chogoris to an orbital bombardment? While there have been numerous altercations between the White Scars and the Necrons, such as when Captain Corsaro Khan of the White Scars' Third Company clashed with the Necron overlord Nemesor Zandrek, it seems highly unlikely that the Necron bombardment upon Chogoris would be out of a desire for revenge, or even in preparation for a full-scale planetary assault or invasion. The reasons for this are twofold. Firstly, if this orbital bombardment was indeed meant to be a fully fledged assault upon the world, then why would the Necrons use a single tomb ship for this task instead of an entire fleet? Despite their power and capability for destruction, for the Necrons to entrust a single tomb ship to launch an assault upon an Imperial world, let alone an Astartes homeworld, would indeed be a foolish undertaking. Secondly, the bombardment unleashed by the Necrons was concentrated exclusively upon a location that was completely uninhabited, which would suggest that, whatever the reasoning behind the Necrons' actions, inflicting casualties upon the human population of Chogoris was not a motivating factor. If the tomb ship's orbital barrage was intended to weaken the planetary defenses before a full-scale invasion was launched, then surely the Necrons would have targeted an area with a much greater population density, or even the fortress monastery of Quanzu itself. Instead, it would appear that this particular tomb ship was instead sent to perform some form of reconnaissance as opposed to launching a planetary assault. The fact the ship focused all of its firepower to one specific set of coordinates would instead suggest that the Necrons could have been attempting to reach something that is located beneath the surface of the world. One possibility is that Chogoris could be the site of a long-dormant Necron Tomb, which over millions of years had become buried deep beneath the world's mountain ranges that were created by the geological motions of Chogoris' continents. If this were the case, then the reasoning behind the orbital bombardment perpetrated by the tomb ship could have been to either gain access to the tomb complex itself, or to simply awaken the slumbering Necrons within by causing the tomb to initiate self-preservation protocols to defend against this apparent threat, which would see the Necrons awaken and begin systematically eliminating all human life upon Chogoris, in order to reclaim the world for the Necron-tier Empire. While not entirely outside the realm of possibility, due to the fact that a number of Imperial worlds, such as Kalrava III and Luther McIntyre, have also been revealed to be Necron Tomb worlds, there is admittedly very little to support the notion of a Necron presence upon Chogoris, let alone the possibility of a fully fledged tomb complex. So instead of being a long-dormant tomb world that the Necrons sought to awaken, what if instead they were in fact seeking out an object of particular significance? With this in mind, perhaps this Necron vessel was in fact attempting to unearth and subsequently retrieve a C'tan shard. Following the aftermath of the War in Heaven, which saw the Necrons and their godlike masters, the C'tan, claim victory over the race known as the Old Ones, the physical forms of the C'tan would be shattered into numerous fragments when the Silent King of the Necron-tier Empire instigated a rebellion that saw the Necrons rise up against their masters. These shards would either be placed in specialized stasis vaults to contain their power, or would vanish entirely before mysteriously reappearing on numerous worlds. While nowhere near as omnipotent as a fully intact C'tan, a C'tan shard is still an incredibly potent entity capable of causing destruction on an unprecedented scale, and the Necrons are indeed known to utilize these shards in battle, treating them as little more than weapons of mass destruction. The 3rd edition Necron Codex details an event similar to that which unfolded upon Chogoris, where a number of Necron Shroud light cruisers would launch a suicidal raid upon the world of Mars, the capital world of the Adeptus Mechanicus, seeking to breach the Noctis Labyrinth, though all Necron forces would ultimately be destroyed. It is within the Noctis Labyrinth that the mysterious entity known as the Dragon of Mars is imprisoned, and this entity is strongly implied to be none other than a shard of the C'tan known as Magladroth, the Void Dragon. While never confirmed, it is implied that this Necron raiding party was attempting to free the Void Dragon from its imprisonment. As such, it would appear to be a reasonable assumption that a C'tan shard could indeed be residing upon Chogoris, and the Necrons in orbit sought to use their ship's weaponry to provide a retrieval force swift access to recover the shard before the White Scars could intervene, though they would ultimately fail in this regard. But given how events would unfold during the dying days of M41, what if the Necrons were instead searching for something else upon the surface of Chogoris? What if they were in fact searching for artifacts similar to that of the Cadian pylons? The Cadian pylons are large esoteric devices that are capable of influencing the energies of warp space within their immediate area, thanks to being fashioned from a material known as Blackstone, which when correctly polarized acts as a warp inhibitor. As a result, the pylons are capable of creating relatively calm areas of space, as most famously demonstrated with the Cadian Gate, a region of space that provided one of the only stable routes leading to and from the warp space rift known as the Eye of Terror. These pylons are even capable of actively pushing back against the encroachment of warp tears, and prior to the advent of the 13th Black Crusade and the eventual creation of the Cicatrix Maledictum, the Cadian pylons were preventing the Eye of Terror from expanding further into the galaxy. The pylons themselves were not exclusive to the world of Cadia, however, as a number of these structures have since been discovered upon other worlds. The novel Dark Imperium details that pylons also existed upon the world of Cadmus Fosp, having been discovered by the Archmagus of the Adeptus Mechanicus, Belisarius Cawl. However, much to Cawl's dismay, the Cadmosian pylons were incapable of ever being activated, due to having deteriorated beyond the point of recovery. Because the world of Chogoris lies within close proximity to the warp space rift known as the Maelstrom, then could the Necrons have somehow predicted that either this warp rift would eventually grow larger, or perhaps even foresaw the creation of the Cicatrix Maledictum? If so, then the Necrons could have sent agents to Chogoris who would then attempt to unearth and activate these pylons in order to prevent this rip within the fabric of reality from expanding further. After all, since these pylons are strongly implied to be of Necron origin, one would need to ask, now that the galaxy has been split in two by the Cicatrix Maledictum, just how many other worlds also have pylons of their own buried somewhere beneath their surface. If enough of these pylons are unearthed and activated, then could we see the possibility of this colossal warp tear receding, or possibly even being closed altogether? Only time will tell. What do you think? Leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.